Bom dia a todos, sejam muito bem-vindos aqui ao lançamento do livro One World, do professor William Halal, aqui na Freezone, durante a COP30 em Belém do Pará. Nós estamos hoje para conversar sobre tecnologia emergente, consciência global e futuro sustentável. Ao final do programa, nós convidamos todos vocês a participar da nossa pesquisa de opinião, acessando inovate.io/propósito, eu vou colocar aqui na tela, para ajudar na reconstrução da Praça das Bandeiras, que está hoje se transformando em um laboratório vivo de inovação, de arte, de pesquisa, e a pesquisa é livre para todos participarem abertamente, nós convidamos, todas as ideias são bem-vindas, e as ideias que vão surgir dessa pesquisa vão direto para o projeto de futuro da cidade. Vamos, então, começar apresentando essa equipe maravilhosa que nos acompanha aqui. Eu sou sua host, cofundadora da inovate.io, responsável aqui pela curadoria da Freezone e pela condução desse lindo evento aqui do One World. A nossa querida Maria Eduarda Mota, ela é nossa co-host, vai presidir aqui a sala de conversa. Ela é cofundadora da PUC Angels, estudante de economia, agora formanda de economia, focada em um ecossistema de startups e tecnologia, inovação e sustentabilidade. A PUC Angels é a primeira startup do terceiro setor autossustentável. E nós temos também aqui o Pablo Lira, nosso convidado especial, fundador do CIDERA, referência em sistematização de futuros civilizatórios sustentáveis, com 2 décadas de pesquisa transdisciplinar em saúde pública e uma atividade acadêmica riquíssima aqui em todas as grandes instituições nacionais. A Sandra de Ângeles, que vai ser nossa entrevistadora, jornalista raiz, fundadora da Edmídia, curadora dos disruptivos culturais na Freezone, mais de 50 anos de excelência em comunicação e jornalismo. E, claro, o nosso convidado de honra, o professor William Halal, engenheiro aeroespacial, professor emérito de gestão, tecnologia e inovação na George Washington University, autor do One World, The Digital Revolution and the Rise of a Global Consciousness. Um mundo, a revolução digital e o nascimento de uma era global de consciência. Ótimo. Então, Maria Eduarda, a sala é sua, minha querida.
Estão me ouvindo bem? Ok. Então, vou começar com a pergunta para o Pablo. Vou ler primeiro em português, depois eu vou ler em inglês, professor, para você também entender o que eu estou perguntando a ele, tá bom? Pablo, você lidera o CIDERA, que tem trabalhado na construção de futuros civilizatórios sustentáveis. Pode nos contar em poucas palavras qual a visão central do CIDERA para a próxima década? Me dá só um segundo que eu vou traduzir para o professor. Professor, a pergunta para ele foi o seguinte. He leads the CIDERA, which has been working on building sustainable civilizational futures. Can you tell us in a few words what CIDERA's central vision for next decade? Com você, Pablo.
Obrigado, Maria. O CIDERA ele faz parte de um esforço coletivo para mapear, modelar, validar caminhos de desenvolvimento que consigam alinhar tecnologia, saúde e bem-estar social, né? A gente acredita que a convergência entre inteligência artificial, biotecnologia e governança participativa, esses são os elementos que criam condições para uma era onde a consciência ela é a base da tomada de decisões, com dados abertos e valores compartilhados.
Vou fazer a tradução para o professor. A resposta do Pablo para a pergunta part of a model and validate development pathways that align technology, health, and social well-being. They believe that the convergence of AI, biotechnology, and participation of the government will create conditions for the era of consciousness, where decisions are made based on open data and shared values. So, in addition to that, now I'm going to ask you, Professor, a question. Pablo, para você também entender, agora eu vou perguntar ao professor, e a pergunta dele é o seguinte: a pesquisa dele em previsão estratégica aponta para a aceleração de tecnologias disruptivas. Como ele vê a inserção das tecnologias emergentes e a construção de um futuro civilizatório? Professor, the question for you would be, your research is in strategic forecasting points to the acceleration of disruptive technologies. How do you see the intersection between these emerging technologies and the construction of a more conscious civilization future? I'm not hearing you. There we go. We stop hearing you.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Now yes.
Can you say the second part of your question, please?
Sure. How do you see the intersection between the emerging technologies and the construction of a more conscious civilization?
Well, that's what my talk is about. I'll give you a quick answer. We are living, I'm going to show you, in an age of consciousness now. We are living beyond knowledge. And I'll explain that later. And by that, I mean, the facts don't seem to be important now. What's important is what people feel emotionally, their values, their beliefs, and some purposes they may have. So the world is operating in a stage of consciousness right now, higher consciousness, but it's not a very good consciousness. And the challenge we face is to shape that consciousness into a global consciousness that recognizes the interdependence of all life on the planet. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Well, thank you, Professor. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, basically, technological convergence needs to be guided by a collective consciousness,
Yes.
which is exactly what Sid and Professor Halal advocate.
Yes, collective consciousness. That's right. Global consciousness. That's right.
Only 1 second. Give me 1 second, please.
Yeah, you have my slide deck.
Hi, Professor. Pablo, você consegue fazer um comentário sobre essa questão que o professor levantou a respeito da parte global do nível de consciência, por favor?
Então, Cris, em relação ao nível global de consciência, né? Porque, como a gente pensa, né? É como a consciência ela se liga à percepção, né? Então, o que não é percebido não faz parte do processo de tomada de consciência, né? Eu acho que o grande desafio hoje para avanços, né, é como a gente transcrever e expressar informações para elas serem acessíveis a essa consciência, né? Então, quando a gente vem para a ciência, a gente vai falar como a ciência pega dados complexos e transmite em informações simples para tomada de consciência. Quando a gente fala de governo, né, um governo norteado por dados abertos, os dados são traduzidos de forma que as pessoas entendam o significado e a importância de tudo isso, né? Então, tomada de consciência sem comunicação, né, ela é bastante difícil, né? E nesse momento, não sei como perguntar para o professor o que o professor pensa a respeito, né? Mas como a comunicação, ela muito mais do que as tecnologias para comunicar, como a gente retornar uma comunicação simples, ela tem um papel estratégico para a tomada de consciência, né? Como existe a elevação da consciência sem uma comunicação clara, né? Como isso é possível numa área que a comunicação ela está tão emaranhada, né? Em jogos de interesses, né? Em controle de narrativas, como a gente trazer narrativas mais assertivas, mais claras e mais entendíveis para as pessoas, para que essa tomada de consciência ela aconteça a partir da narrativa, né?
Okay, it's gonna be because I have my own insights and my own questions around your research, Professor, and what Pablo and Maria Eduarda just bring up, and what we are talking about, and the fine question here is around the subject on global consciousness. And Pablo is asking on the methods through communication or educational systems or communicational systems to bring on this emerging consciousness. But what I would add is the difference between emergence of the consciousness in like an organic natural development of the society or something fabricated. And this is where Pablo inserts this concept of the inside be intertwined in the communicational systems that we have today globally with some power disputes, cultural biases and conflicts and conflicts of interest and all this, conflict that we can definitely see, perceive, and live in our daily basis, and it's interfering with our own health system as human beings, like anxiousness and suicidal rates or something, and even despair, or the lack of hope even, and trust, for sure, the disruption of trust, right? And we can definitely see all this tension that we see in this movement on going through the pathway to consciousness.
Yes.
And it seems to me more dirty than linear, more confused, or than linear. And how do we come from that? I mean, how do we go from here, and where are we going to end? I mean, do you see? Are you hopeful? Do you see a hopeful ending for us on this path?
I am hopeful. I think we're going to make it, because civilization has always triumphed over the terrible crises, the fall of Rome, the Black Death, World War II, the Cold War with nuclear weapons. We've triumphed over all of those things. But to get to your question, I think we have to use the powers of social media to shape consciousness. It's badly misused now. It's the source of great confusion and conflict. But its power, and you have to use that power more effectively. For instance, Taylor Swift. You know, Taylor Swift is, I'm sure, she has enormous influence. Suppose we had a half dozen Taylor Swifts who were online and conveying the right message. That would change the world. So somehow we have to use the media to change thinking. That's going to be a very difficult challenge, but I think that's the way it's going to happen using the media.
That's a great point of view, and I would add to Maria Eduarda to follow me on this path. The cultural action, the artists, because you said, Professor, the artists are great influencers of change. And that's exactly what we are doing here in Freezone. And especially like Taylor Swift, that you Professor, you quoted her, contextualized her in the situation. And Maria, what do you see around this subject, that art influences consciousness, and the point of view of investing in art? Okay, so the investors, as angels investors, can provide some kind of a new support for this action to be, because in communication, the artists are kind of slaved by communication systems because of the system itself, the economic system itself, that kind of take off the soul of the artist. In the long run, the artist becomes a product more than influencer, idealist influencer itself, as principle, as matters. So how can you tell this with the angel, the investor's point of view, as a source of support for this artist to nail this and to become this stepping stone, this point of view that people can, see themselves and admire, and provide this light, this shining light, this consciousness shining light for a better future. How do you see that?
Okay, so thank you, Chris. To start answering this and pointing my view on it, I will use what Pablo just said about creating consciousness. We only do this when we have the perception. So we have to see what is the thing to then, in order to create consciousness. And then moving to the art side, art it's always have been a form of expression of itself. So it's how the artists express their self around the reality. Having this great perception to create, in order to create consciousness, I think investing in art, it's matter of like escape of all we have in reality about this confusion. So basically we want to how can I put this, but we want to represent reality in a mimetic format to see things. And investing in art is like an escape, and also how we can support this people that are running, how can I put this? They're running not in the same path, but they are running like
a parallel universe, a parallel point of view of reality. The artist can see what the unseen and maybe provide this meaning that is lacking, right?
And here we have the consciousness, the perception, and the consciousness. So basically, investing in art in order to like create this consciousness, this perception. It's a way that we can create the consciousness, especially for young generations. Because here, I think we have the social media, and young generations are most affected by them. So having this creation of consciousness to the young generation, to the Gen Z, through the art, I think it's a way of like escaping this confusion mental health and path we are tracing.
I have a comment on this point. I think I admire what Brazil has done with the treatment of Bolsonaro. You addressed the problem of the insurrection quickly. We couldn't do that in the United States. We're stuck with Trump. So I think that's an important change that affects consciousness. So I admire the Brazilians for what they did in addressing that problem directly and quickly.
Yes, great observation. And so now I will give the floor to Sandra De Angelis to provide a few questions for you, sir. And
am I going to be able to give my presentation?
Yes, Professor, you can. Do you want to do this before the journalist?
Yeah,
yes.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll give you the floor entirely.
Okay.
You can. Do you have your presentation there, or you want me to?
Oh, you're going to handle it. I was told. Pablo said you're going to handle it.
Okay. Okay. So just 1 second, so I can upload it here.
Well, Professor, while they upload the presentation, I just saw your research, very interesting topic. I think for my generation and the other that are coming, we really lost this consciousness thing about being responsible for how life is going, how we take decisions, and how decisions has has results, right? And we are going to face those results. So I am very close to sustainability part and entrepreneurships. And for example, sustainability, it's an area of study that is such kind of new, right? Because we are only struggling to the results that like past generations does. But I really feel that my generation still don't know how to proceed, or sometimes somehow we've lost this collaborative way of thinking. You know, we are so more individualist, and here we have social media really has influence on this way of thinking, right? Because now we have like fast videos, 1, 2, 3 minutes TikToks. We have also spread the power. For example, everyone could like be a creator and create content to each other. But we have a lot of challenges.
Well, I think, yeah, I do think the younger generation has the answer, though. They are the first global citizens.
I agree. I
Most of
totally
the
agree.
people have traveled all over the world. They don't see any differences in nationality or race or gender. They're the first global citizens. They're going to do this.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna make it, but it's a, how can I? It's a path that we don't know the end. I think we
Yeah.
have to have hopefully people such as you, such as me, to see and to see. Okay, we can do this. We've done this, so we can solve it as well.
Yeah.
But we have to do it together.
Yes. Yes. But if I give my presentation, I think that will help. I think you'll understand this better.
Sure. Just try to. Okay, there we
Okay.
go.
Can I start now?
Chris, I think you're muted.
Okay. You want me? Can I start now? Chris, can I?
Yes. Yeah, please start.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great honor, especially because your conference focuses on the theme of my new book, One World. But you notice that I put a question mark after the title because I think it's important to admit doubt. There is great sense of doom and gloom around. People are terrified of the crises that persist today. The solution, I think, is to see this in terms of social evolution. Social evolution helps us see the broad trajectory, the rise of civilization, and the details, the things that worry us today. Those are mere blips in the rise of social evolution. What happened to my presentation? Oh, there it is. Okay, so as I go along here, please offer your comments and questions to Chris or Pablo, and I will I'll respond to them because I'd like this to be a dialogue. I don't want to do all of the talking. Okay, next slide, please. Well, let me go back here 1 minute. My new book, go back, please. My new book, One World, is not out yet. It'll be out in 2 or 3 months. But in the meantime, you could get pre-orders at my publishers. There's the link to the book at my publisher's website for pre-orders. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is really important. I have worked over this for many years, and I think it is unique. There's nothing else like it. This describes the rise of civilization through thousands of years. In order to do this, however, you have to have a logarithmic scale you see at the bottom. Otherwise, you wouldn't see anything. It would just be flat and make a sharp turn upwards. With the logarithmic scale, everything stands out. And the vertical axis is simply the stages of evolution that we've been through. And I'd like to point out that this curve is a perfect S-curve. I was amazed when I first plotted this many years ago to see that it's a perfect S-curve, because an S-curve is characteristic of all life forms. The growth of bacteria follows an S-curve. The growth of a human being follows an S-curve. This is the growth of civilization on this planet as a life cycle. And it has inflection points that characterize the S-curve. The takeoff point, when everything starts moving very rapidly. The pivot point in the center, where growth starts changing from rapid expansion to starting to slow down. And that occurred roughly 1975 when the rate of population growth peaked. The final pivot point is the maturity point, and I think we're at that point now. I think that happened roughly 2020. Now, let me explain some of the points along this. When in 1980s, when the first PCs were coming out, I remember telling people that we were going to see the beginning of personal computers. And what do you think the answer was for most people? Most people said, why would anybody want a personal computer? That was when computers filled rooms. They couldn't imagine it. That shows how hard it is to anticipate these big evolutionary changes. But it happened. At the year 2000, everybody had personal computers and laptops, and people worked. Most jobs were knowledge work. So I had that right. And the same thing is happening now. Can you expand the chart, please? Yes, thank you. We're now entering an age of consciousness. I think it started roughly 2020 because something very important happened in 2020. That was when Americans elected Trump, or they didn't elect Trump, when Trump failed to win the election, and he claimed that the election was stolen. That was demonstrably a lie. It wasn't true at all. But a third of the country believed this, and they still believe it. So when a third or a half of a country believes something that's not based upon facts, we know we've entered an age of higher consciousness, subjectivity, higher consciousness. I'll explain that more clearly in a minute. So I think that's when we started in this new age, the beginning of an age of consciousness. And I think I'll show you why, but later I'm going to show you that our estimate is that we will reach a global consciousness will emerge. It'll start about 2033, plus or minus 5 years. So that's where I think this is going. Are there any comments or questions about this graph? I would welcome your thoughts. If not, we can move on. Chris, Pablo, any comments, questions? Well,
Hi, Professor. Yes, I mean, it's nice that we can consider, of course, the political point of view, but we, as a group, we don't consider, and I need to make this completely clear, we completely invalidate, we are not have any support and don't support whatever politicians or any representatives of any institution in any level as a group. We actually consider them a part of toxic society itself, the true representation of what a lack of consciousness is any institutional political party in the world.
I see.
So we are completely anarchists per se. If you could put any artist in any box, which you can never do, I have to make completely clear that as artists, we are all free. We consider human beings free and free from biases. We don't believe in politics whatsoever. And they sure don't believe in us as free people. There's no politician in the world who can represent any society, any free society alive. So we have to make this very, very conscious here in your presentation, because we also believe that the true consciousness is not going to be represented top down. It's going to be represented as a bottom-up movement.
Yes, I understand. That's the power of art. You're exactly right. Artists are the source of inspiration for societies. That's wonderful. Thank you very much for that wonderful comment. That makes perfect sense. Yes. Okay, any other questions about this or comments? If not, let's move to the next slide. Now, here's a way of explaining why we're seeing the rise of consciousness. This triangle represents the structure of human consciousness, and it's based upon the ideas of René Descartes, the famous philosopher, who spoke in terms of the body and the soul. But today we think in terms of objective versus subjective consciousness. And what you notice here is that objective consciousness are the things that machines are good at: knowledge, decisions, memory, learning, awareness, and so forth. That's what AI is doing. It's going to automate all of that. It's going to make all of that automatic, and that's going to free people up to do what? Well, it drives attention up into the subjective realm of emotions and purpose and will, choice, beliefs, values. That's where we're operating now, and it's being driven by the digital revolution. So the rise of consciousness, higher consciousness, subjective consciousness, is being driven by the digital revolution. That is a very, very happy development. It shows us that that doesn't depend on individuals. It's part of social evolution and technology that's driving it. It's inevitable. But consciousness is not always enlightenment. Human consciousness can take any form. And right now we have a lot of terrible consciousness out there, like Vladimir Putin and Trump and people like that. So now the challenge is to shape that consciousness into a global consciousness. Any comments or questions about this?
Well, Professor, I believe, as I said early, any representatives that we have now as institutions and providers of supposedly order, I believe that those are the sources of that imposition of power, and this is the thing that is actually preventing the consciousness from arriving, and it thinks that it is preventing. It thinks that it is putting order, or that it is narrowing down and providing a secure path to a future. But and Brazilians are very very good at freedom, exerting their freedom.
Yes.
Brazilians are very, very free.
Yeah.
And in some ways that the global order does not understand.
Yes. It's good to hear that. That makes perfect sense. Now that's why the Brazilians responded to the Bolsonaro threat so well, so quickly, because they're free and they want to do the right thing. That's
no,
right.
but please, let me correct you on this one. Has nothing to do on politics. Has nothing to do on any ideology, or religion, or anything else. Brazil is free from politics, actually, in a sense that nobody can understand. I see a population that is already abundant. There's already open-hearted, and it's very it can suffer from manipulation strongly from any side, any politics side. So the narrative, please don't believe in the narrative. Okay. The narrative is only for the global order to see. I can speak from inside a community that we are in now, just right now. We are inside of on a community, and we can see that people really don't care on power. People are very open-hearted already, and already have the emotional connection with the nature and with each other. And that's why in Brazil we have the most misogynous communities, and everybody is cousins and sons and mothers and fathers and sisters. And we really, on the bottom up, which is the large majority on Brazil, we have a very narrow, high standards population. If you say on this, if you watch it from the technological perspective and from the wealth, what wealth means from the top down, okay? Because from the bottom up, wealth has completely different meaning, completely different values, completely different beliefs. So people here don't buy this top-down narrative.
I see. Maria, would you say that Brazilians now live in global consciousness?
Well, I would say that it's difficult to generalize. You know, I have my own experience. For example, I live in São Paulo. That is the biggest country from Brazil. So maybe like talking about my only experience is not what most of Brazil's people live. Okay, so I think we are together working to this consciousness, but due to socioeconomic reality here in Brazil, I don't think we can like affirm like, yes, we have a consciousness in a general perspective.
I've heard you talk about sustainability, so that's something in the Brazilian culture. Is that right?
I don't think we have enough. Brazil, it's like the heart. We are basically the solution of sustainability in the world. Amazon forest is basically the heart of, could be the solution for all sustainable matters. I don't think we have enough conscience on that. And let me get this again. I am talking about a general perspective. When we look into some socioeconomic reality, maybe yes, we have, and we are working for that. However, Brazil is very, very, very big and large, and we have different cultures, matters, and other things.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to my last slide. Now we can stop and do whatever you want. Now, here's, I think, how the way this is going to work out. The world is now stuck in what I call a crisis of global maturity. It's like the crisis that every teenager faces when they're growing up. They're physically fully developed, but they don't know how to cope with the world. It's too complex for them, and so they suffer. But at some point, they realize that they have to change, and they embrace the reality of becoming mature. They grow up. That's roughly where the world is today. We're stuck in these series of crises. This study I did with Michael Marion is very telling, I think. 60 to 7% of people, people think there's a 60 to 70% probability of disaster from all of these things, climate, pandemics, and so forth. And the New York Times had a survey that showed 50% people think humanity is doomed. Or the UN report on climate, total societal collapse is likely unless major changes are made. So this is a serious problem, but it's a problem that is like any problem when a person or a system is facing with the need to change dramatically, to become mature, a crisis of maturity. And I think there's a really good chance we can get through this okay. Here's our TechCast forecast, a 65% probability that we will see a global consciousness emerge at 2033, plus or minus 5 years. So it's not certain. It's not certain it will make this, but I think it's most likely that we will. So let me stop here and do whatever you would like to do. I know you have some plans.
Okay, Professor. We would like to address you a couple of questions from the journalist, from Sandra De Angelis.
Okay.
Just 1 second. I'll just address you the questions now.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Okay. So in the context of planetary health, the journalist is asking about the future of AIDS. Today we have medications that immunize a person both before and after exposure. PrEP and PEP. What we still haven't been able to do is stop the virus spread, especially among young people. Can we expect that to happen at some point in the future, considering this consciousness, this new consciousness organization society?
Well, there's a powerful new technology, CRISPR. Are you familiar with CRISPR?
Yes.
The gene editing method?
Yes, we are.
Yes, that's very powerful. It's being used already to change the genetic makeup of individuals so that they can solve the 6,000 genetic diseases that are horrible. So it's conceivable that could be used to prevent people from catching AIDS. I think that's conceivable.
Yes, we heard about a use case on China, if I believe so, with a medical a doctor that started all this research, and he actually supposedly he cured a son or daughter of a couple from AIDS with CRISPR. That is the use case that I know of, but of course, it could be. It's not very clear if it is fake news or not, exactly, because there's a lot of movement from the government to behold this information, and of course, there's some curiosities around the case, because if so, nothing was completely released. He supposedly did a paper on around it, but I'm not sure exactly where this research ended up, and if so, because it was not approved or anything. He just stumbled on it as a cure, or as he was applying this CRISPR research on those patients because of immunity, of course, to treat the immune system. But supposedly, of course, as I said, it kind of cured from AIDS and itself, and so they are not contaminated anymore. And so I don't understand how or why this research did not continue. Of course, there's a lot of ethical problems and issues around the subject, and CRISPR technology itself has a lot of issues around ethical, because we could enter in a new genetic run, which could be what is the word? Ai, meu Deus, é tipo preconceito genético, seleção genética. Like it could it could have a more separation of the society, right? From because genetic selection, between the people who has resources to use this technology and the people who don't, and
Yes.
and even the people who don't could be victim of a power arrangement from powers to use this population as subjects on research.
I think that's true. In fact, there's a lot of movement now to create designer babies. That's called, but the idea is to change the genetic makeup of the fetus in the womb, so that you increase intelligence and change other qualities, and that has the threat of creating two classes of people: those who can do this and those who can't. So you're right. That's a danger.
So the last question from the journalist would be, so what is your view around the artists? So in that context of the age of consciousness, as we were contextualizing, this matter. So what do you think, Professor? What will the artist be this catalyst of the consciousness age successfully? I mean, can it be a beacon?
Yes, I think you're right. Artists really have a very important role to play, because they're the people who help shape consciousness. True. But there's another very important development that we haven't talked about, and that is the role of the corporation. Corporations, capitalism has a terrible reputation, but that's changing dramatically. In our country, corporations about 3 or 4 years ago decided, the big corporations, that they were going to empower all stakeholders, employees, customers, and the public, in addition to serving the needs of profit for shareholders. And they are taking this very seriously. 90% of corporations are trying to do this. They're not quite sure how to do it yet, because they have to remain profitable. And I have funded a research project at my university to help CEOs learn how to work with their stakeholders so that they create value, so that everybody benefits, social benefits as well as financial profits. And I think that could change the economic system dramatically it would no longer be capitalism. It would be a form of democratic enterprise. And I think that could change the world because the corporation is so powerful. It influences culture. And if the corporation became a collaborative system where everybody worked together for the benefit of everybody, that would be revolutionary. So I think that's the kind of thing that could come along and could shape global consciousness. I hope you'll, be open to those possibilities.
Yes, I can see what you mean. Well, Maria Eduarda itself here as a presence of this this tipping point, this curvature of reasoning in the corporate world. We can see that from our perspective because we deal with corporations day by day, and we can see this change dramatically, of course. But you are right, Professor. We can completely see that they do not have the tools to make this correction. Anyway, but of course, I would like to present a hypothesis here because as we both are, Maria Eduarda and I, representatives of PUC Angels, which is a third sector, an institution, self-sustainable institution. It is a startup. So we live in between the two worlds, and we see ourselves as this bridge to provide this path, this healthy path between profit and sustainable wealth.
Yes.
But maybe we will have to address the biases more openly. What I mean by that is maybe the transparency needs to go open on the biases.
Yes.
And we can see this movement on startups like you have those marketplace for news now that they address if the news what the biases on the news, and everybody now can understand the what supposedly was a manipulation system. Now it's open for opinion system, which is what you were saying, that it is emotional, it is consciousness, and everybody has an opinion on it. Yeah. So we are openly addressing it.
Yeah. The best example is the Mondragon in Spain. They have been so successful. That company, they have about 80 different businesses now, and it's all controlled by employees and customers. And they're enormously successful. They earn about $1 billion a year, and it's all owned by workers and customers. It's quite amazing. They're the best example in the world, I think.
Professor Pablo would like to address one final question for you, sir.
Okay, Pablo.
Como é que travou aqui, Cris?
Pode ir, Pablo.
Tá. Tá.
Estamos ouvindo.
Deixa eu abrir aqui.
Agora você mutou, pode desmutar. Aperta de novo. Isso, pronto, agora vai.
Então, seria o modelo apresentado pelo professor, né? Ele, desde a origem da etapa 1, né, do surgimento da realidade, até o nível que a gente está, o nível 7, né, o nível da era da consciência. Todo esses 7 níveis, né, parece que eles caminham sempre baseados no design, né? O design, a forma. Então a natureza ela começa a dar as formas, né? Essas formas elas vão tendo funções, né? Na realidade, daí evolui para os sistemas biológicos que ainda carregam a questão da forma e da função, né? Então o design e a função parece que eles vão sendo conectados, né? Isso vai aumentando para as nossas tecnologias, os nossos sistemas de crença, né? e o jeito que a gente organiza o conhecimento, a questão do design, né, da forma e da função, elas estarem sempre conectadas, né? E daí quando a gente chega nesses grandes modelos que controlam a criação de formas, né, eles também controlam a criação de funções, né? Então seria como que o professor visualiza essa relação da necessidade de criação de novas formas e funções na realidade da era da consciência, né? Estabelecer novas formas para a arquitetura, novas formas dos modelos de negócio, novas formas de posicionar o que está nessa narrativa central, né? Porque dentro dessa narrativa central, ela que determina que forma que a gente vai criar, né? E por consequente, que função que a gente vai dar para essa forma de acordo com essa linha narrativa central, né? Então, na visão do professor, se a narrativa mudasse do lucro para proteção das famílias e da vida, né, como essas formas e funções poderiam apoiar na construção da era da consciência?
Eu anotei. Estão me ouvindo? Muito
Ouvindo,
legal,
Gabi?
Pablo. Obrigada. Agora eu vou traduzir para o professor. Eu peguei umas anotações aqui. Se você achar que faltou alguma coisa da sua pergunta, eu retomo, tá bom? So, Professor, what Pablo just said, he brought that the model you presented from its origin to the global age of consciousness, that it's 7 levels, right? They are quite almost based on design, on a format. Basically, we have the nature creating its function, and its function being deposited in the reality. So we have a connection between the design and the function. This is the area in which Pablo insert his question. That would be basically the models that control the forms also control the functions. How do you see the need for the creation of new forms, formats, and functions in this age of global consciousness?
Well, let's start by
Just can I add one thing that
Sure.
it was the last part of the question that I
Go ahead,
believe, Professor, it could complement the view that Pablo addressed the question. That would be, what do you think, Professor, if we change the perspective from power and profit to the protection of the family and the planetary health itself? What would you believe that this could be a new successful model for this change to arrive from the form design of this consciousness?
well, first of all, let's start by admitting that we really can't know for certain what's going to happen. This is a new stage of development in social evolution, and it's going to surprise us. But what I do think is, if it's like the other stages, consciousness is going to be center stage, and it could be anything. I think we're going to develop powerful tools for shaping consciousness. Like right now, psychedelic drugs are big. Psychedelic drugs are so powerful for curing depression and traumatic post-traumatic stress. So we really don't know what's going to happen, but I think we're going to develop ways to shape consciousness, all kinds of ways to do it. Nature, art, drugs, it could be anything. And I think that's going to be the focus of attention. It's going to be a very, very creative period, very creative. And ultimately, I think consciousness is motivated by spiritual forces. And spiritual forces center on love. Love is really the center of spirituality. Anybody who has experienced spiritual experiences, it's always based on love and knowledge. And that is going to, I think it's very likely that will dominate societies, because that is the very nature of consciousness, love and knowledge and intelligence.
That's a beautiful point of view, I would say, and a very hopeful one. And I would compliment on that. So would you say that AI could be one of those consciousness tools that we are provoking, not completely knowing what we are doing or where it will lead us exactly? What would you say on that?
Yeah, AI is going to force us to become more human, because it's going to do the work, the simple work, the intelligence, the objective consciousness. And it's going to force us to cultivate the subjective level that only humans can do. So it's going to force us to become more human, especially because we're going to have to manage these systems, because they could be dangerous. So we're going to have to manage these systems very carefully to keep them safe. We're going to have to design them carefully, test them, monitor their behavior, change the things we don't like. So it's going to be, that's going to be a major challenge for humanity, to control the AI. But it's going to help us become more human. I'm almost certain of that. Let me leave you with one final thought. Go back to the first slide, my first slide, please. Can you do that? Yeah, the first one. Yeah, there. Now, this is going to be, the next 10 years or so are going to be difficult. There are wars going on and all that. When you get confused and you feel pessimistic about things, think about this image of the earth there, glowing with thought and consciousness. That image is the key to helping us realize where we're going. I think we're going to see that earth united in time, in 10 or 20 years. You are young enough, you will see that. It'll be a unified world. It'll still have normal problems, crime and war and all that, but it'd be a unified world. And that's going to allow us to realize human potential, especially in the arts and science. So keep that image in mind when you get depressed. Okay. Is that it? Have anything else more in mind?
Well, I would say just one last thought. We gathered a testimony from a local person, and we would like to read it to you.
Okay.
Translate it to you, so you could comment on that, and to comment on around the conscious level of this information that this local citizen brought to us, and to maybe to make this connection between what all that we discussed, and what would be your evaluation on the S curve, considering this is as a completely normal person from a very simple perspective, on the day by day, analysis of his own. Okay, so I am from Paraná, Pará here. Now I'm from Pará, born in Belém, and I feel an enormous pride to see the world looking at our city, and Freezone and COP30 could brought this international attention to us, and I would like that to leave a legacy. Praça da Bandeira flag square. I would like to see it more clean. This square, this this place is where Freezone is happening. Okay, Professor. So he would like to see it more clean after COP, more green, and with a recycle system affected by educational and ambiental educational system. We need to transform garbage into resources back again.
Yes.
And we need to restate plastic, paper, and even acai nuts that we can do everything with. And COP30 could be the seed to a more sustainable Belém, which government and mayors could take care better of the population with educational systems to take care better of the environment itself. So this is his testimony, and I will want you to comment on that, please, sir.
Okay.
Which level of consciousness do you think this comment is on your S-curve?
I thought, okay. Well, it's good to hear that. What impresses me is that if you people, the three of you, are representative of Brazil, Brazil is a great place. I think. I mean, you are all enlightened, all of you. Pablo and Chris and Maria, you are enlightened people. So that speaks well for Brazil, I think, and I think it's commendable.
Well, thank you for the compliment, Professor. You know, we have a saying here in Brazil that Brazil is the future, the country of the future.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, we are considered emergent economy. We are considered but from the point of view, as I said to you, sir, from the point of view of the people, I would say that I agree with this with this phrase that we have here, but we had it forever. We say as long as we are Brazilians, we hear that Brazil is the country of the future.
Yeah.
And from the economic point of view, we always are waiting for this future to come, and it never does. But maybe from the one world view, maybe we are already there. What do you say, Pablo? Well, I believe that
we've gone over our time.
Exactly. I would say that if we are all very happy with the results here, which I certainly am, and I'm very, very proud to be part of this conversation. That was so fruitful. It was so enlightening, and I would like to thank you very, very, very much, Professor. It's an honor for us to speak with you.
It's wonderful being with you. I mean, you're really wonderful people. I can see that. And it makes me want to come to Brazil.
Oh, please do. We are open arms here to, to have acai, both salty and sugary, sweet and salty, because we have both ends, and they are both wonderful. And the food here is amazing.
I can bet. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Bye-bye.
I appreciate. Bye-bye, Professor.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So long, Maria. So long, Pablo. Bye.